Stop treating your chronic bodily exhaustion, your unrelenting midnight anxiety, and that terrifying, unexplainable weakness as mere biological aging or standard stress. Stop comforting your intellect with the shallow, clinical lie that the endless cycles of severe insomnia, migrating joint pains, sudden dizzy spells, and the constant cloud of mental depression suffocating your household are just typical physiological anomalies that everyone eventually goes through. Freeze your position exactly where you are right now, lock your eyes onto the screen with absolute, unyielding intensity, and do not dare to swipe away from this immediate, high-priority biological rescue broadcast. If you make the fatal mistake of skipping this transmission in the next 3 seconds out of modern cynicism or casual doubt, you are actively signing a legal spiritual waiver to leave your physical organs, your nervous system, and your children's genetic future completely exposed to the exact same decaying affliction that broke the health of your parents. This is not a common internet clip, nor is it a piece of generic holistic wellness storytelling designed for your passing distraction. This is a designated, celestial medical intervention authorized directly by the Supreme Court of Heaven for your specific physical frame. Tonight, the sovereign breath of life is forcefully invading your cells to completely flush out the dark sickness and hereditary decay that has been quietly suffocating your family line since the year 1990. If you close this video right now, you are turning back the only heavenly physician sent to rebuild your biological structure, leaving your immunity completely vulnerable tomorrow morning. Look closely at the invisible blueprint of physical decay that has been quietly operating over your household for decades. You have noticed how the exact same unexplainable health emergencies seem to reappear in every single branch of your family tree. How every time you build a consistent routine of energy, strength, and mental clarity, a sudden wave of chronic fatigue or a terrifying diagnosis emerges from the dark to wipe out your physical momentum. You have watched your loved ones buy the best supplements, consult the highest medical experts, and change their diets, only to end up with the same empty energy reserves, the same sleepless nights of panic, and the same agonizing morning stiffness that kept your ancestors tired. You have spent years blaming these repeating physical failures on bad genetics, poor environment, or changing workplace stress, but I am here to completely interrupt that dangerous blindness with a fierce, chilling truth. Your physical frame has been operating under a hidden supernatural siege. The entities of infirmity do not want your body to function in clean, unshakable strength. Their ultimate objective is to pre-program your bloodline with chronic decay, ensuring that no matter how much you rest or exercise, your biological atmosphere remains too fractured and too heavy for your body to ever regenerate. They have spent over 3 decades trying to lock down your future by hijacking your physical health. But tonight, the sovereign ruler of the universe has stepped into your anatomy to forcefully terminate their access. Do not be fooled by the familiar, quiet look of your bedroom or the regular medical appointments your family has planned for the upcoming weeks. In the United States, you are surrounded by a deeply secularized, materialist culture that trains you to view your body as a purely chemical machine, completely blinding you to the fact that your cellular system is a highly active spiritual battlefield before it ever shows up on a doctor's scan. The entities of limitation do not wait for your organs to fail naturally. They preoccupy your biological design in the unseen world, placing invisible blockades on your nervous system, injecting sudden, unexplainable tension into your brain waves, and seeding inflammation into your tissue so you remain trapped in a perpetual loop of survival. Have you ever wondered why you feel an intense wave of panic and sudden breathlessness the moment your head hits the pillow at midnight? That is the dark cloud of the cellular siege activating its pre-programmed freeze to make you give up your physical authority before you can even heal your house. But tonight, the invisible hand is completely smashing their heavy cages to absolute dust. I have uncovered the hidden chains binding your ancestors, and I am exposing the dark, heavy architecture of infirmity that has been holding your biological vitality hostage. The spiritual adversaries of your health are gathering in a desperate, frantic circle at the very perimeter of your nervous system at this very split second. They are staring at your screen, praying that you will feel too clinical, too skeptical, or too exhausted to receive this immediate anatomical rewrite. They know with absolute certainty that if they can keep your heart closed for just a few more seconds, the supernatural transfer of 10x physical strength will hit a catastrophic, irreversible bottleneck. Your massive health breakthrough will be marked as refused and sent back to a state of permanent decay. But the High Court of Heaven has just issued an absolute decree of restoration over your entire biological structure. The sovereign judge has traced every silent tear you've dropped over your deteriorating health. He has seen the hidden exhaustion you carry into your daily life, and he has ordered an immediate, full-scale celestial intervention to clear your cells from top to bottom. Stand your ground right now, lock your eyes onto this transmission, and prepare your spirit to witness the violent removal of that heavy cloud forever, while your natural intellect remains heavily preoccupied with the superficial readings of medical charts, prescription labels, and the frustrating cycle of temporary physical treatments. A massive, deep-level structural realignment is quietly occurring within the hidden fabric of your physical frame. I am here to expose the astonishing, absolute precision of the anatomical override. Right now, as you sit under the electrified, weight-bearing atmosphere of this emergency biological rescue broadcast, the creator of the universe is bypassing every natural law of decay to directly access the core structure of your human form. He is not merely giving your mind a passing sense of emotional comfort or a temporary burst of psychological hope to help you push through another exhausting 24 hours. He is executing an immediate, permanent cellular cleansing. Deep within the high sovereign chambers that govern the distribution of human life and vitality, the great physician is physically intervening in your biological blueprint. He is systematically neutralizing the dark, repeating frequency of pain, the sudden spikes of midnight blood pressure, and the unexplainable structural weaknesses that have micro-targeted your family tree since the year 1990. The sovereign hand of God is actively erasing that long history of physical affliction from your tissue, melting the hidden roots of chronic inflammation, and constructing an energetic divine shield across your entire nervous system. Break free from this generational illusion right now. Stop believing the deceptive, internal voice that tells you that your body is destined to remain a permanent casualty of constant physical exhaustion, debilitating migraines, or sudden, unexplainable neurological panic. Those persistent, heavy symptoms that have locked your muscles into a state of chronic defense are nothing more than the fading echoes of a spiritual affliction that has just been legally and biologically liquidated by the highest authority in existence. You have been systematically conditioned by years of watching your parents or your grandparents succumb to early physical decay to believe that your own physical frame must inevitably carry the same genetic vulnerabilities, the same structural breakdowns, and the same quiet, painful surrenders. But the divine authority is completely interrupting that systemic biological entrapment tonight. The dark, hidden patterns that were specifically weaponized to trigger sudden, blinding headaches, disrupt your natural sleep architecture, damage your digestive tract, or inject overwhelming, paralyzing fear into your heart rate right before you fall asleep are facing an absolute celestial arrest. The unnatural deterioration of your daily immunity is being completely stopped by a supreme decree of vitality, and your physical form is being structurally reprogrammed to carry an unprecedented, continuous influx of supernatural alignment and unshakable biological protection. I have detected the silent financial and physical drain on your hard work, and I have exposed the exact spiritual origin of the chronic pain that has tried to bleed your household dry through constant medical bills and unexplainable physical breakdowns. The spiritual gatekeepers of infirmity are gathering in a frantic, desperate circle at the very perimeter of your circulatory and nervous systems at this exact microsecond, verifying the strength of the limitations they laid down against your lineage. They pointed directly to the countless nights you spent pacing the floor in absolute agony, clutching your chest or your head, and the sudden, unexplainable physical panics that pop up out of nowhere inside your home as absolute proof that your body was bound to stay restricted. They boasted to one another, "We will make sure this entire generation remains under a heavy cloud of constant physical decay and mental distress. We will pass the same heavy burdens of chronic weakness down to their children, and we will trigger a sudden bodily crisis that fractures their long-term legacy before they can ever experience true rest." They thought your quiet, tired tolerance of these repeating physical patterns was your legal consent to their torment. But the sovereign Lord of the universe has stood up on your behalf, banged his supreme gavel in the courtroom of justice, and ordered an immediate anatomical cleansing. He is purging their toxic footprint from your genetic code, turning back the dark cycles of decay, and filling your cells with an unshakable, divine tranquility. Wake up from this cycle of endless delays and stop expecting a slow, ordinary, typical recovery that relies solely on natural variables, endless testing, or human medical guesswork. Linear recovery is the slow, limited protocol of a broken world, designed to exhaust your finances and your mind until your energy reserves are entirely spent. The anatomical override operates on the immediate, explosive frequency of a sovereign divine rewrite. Tomorrow morning, as the physical world resets, an unprecedented shift is going to manifest inside your daily physical experience. It will materialize as a sudden, shocking disappearance of that heavy, unexplainable weight that usually sits on your chest, a profound release of tension in your spine, the total clearance of that chronic morning brain fog, or a sudden, unexpected stabilization of your internal biological numbers that will leave your medical team completely speechless. This atmospheric transformation is the undeniable materialization of your divine anatomy rewriting. It is the physical proof that your body's spiritual routing codes have been completely switched. The natural world is being forced to recognize that your upcoming days are no longer a target for physical arrows, but an impenetrable sanctuary of divine order. I disrupted the dark forces trying to freeze your next week and infect your physical health, and I am locking down your victory right now. The thieves of destiny had already drafted the blueprints to ensure that your mind would remain a place of low-level physical anxiety, always managing one health crisis after another, and always too distracted by daily bodily survival to ever focus on the massive global wealth and creative breakthroughs that heaven is releasing to your name. They wanted your family trapped in a cycle of constant physical defense. But the hand of God has walked straight through their biological blockades, wiped your physical records clean, and erected a blazing wall of fire around your physical frame. Their legal authority over your body has been permanently revoked, and your organs, your brain waves, and your cellular walls have been stamped with the infinite protection of the King. You are moving away from the position of a worried, vulnerable defender and taking your seat as the sovereign gatekeeper of an armored legacy. There is an absolute, unyielding structural law operating within the highest governance of the spirit realm that decrees that whenever your physical frame has been systematically targeted, your cellular energy drained, and your mind heavily weighed down by a cloud of constant medical anxiety, the ultimate relief will not be a slow, difficult process of human therapy. It will be a sudden, explosive arrival of supernatural restoration. The long, exhausting seasons of you lying awake in the dark, staring at your ceiling and drowning in a silent panic about your mounting medical bills, your deteriorating vitality, and the terrifying fear that your household will never break out of this exhausting cycle of physical decline have officially reached their absolute expiration date tonight. I am here to build a fierce, indestructible certainty in your soul. The entire architecture of biological sabotage and chronic affliction in your body is being completely demolished by the morning breath sign. Heaven has just authorized an immediate, high-velocity material settlement that will completely bypass every traditional medical timeline, every human prognosis, and every slow-moving rule of the natural world. God is not just throwing you a small, temporary lifeline to clear a single symptom. He is forcefully executing a mandatory 10x vitality and mental peace restoration that will instantly flood your cells with unshakable stability and permanent freedom before the clock strikes 12 tomorrow morning. Wake up from this cycle of endless delays and reject the deceptive reality of the physical limitations that have been suffocating your family line since the year 1990. In the United States, you are constantly conditioned by a highly rigid, materialistic culture to believe that securing your physical future requires endless decades of pharmaceutical dependency, that your past genetic failures define your upcoming days, and that your household must stay permanently restricted to a life of rushing, burning out, and quietly decaying under the weight of chronic pain. But I am here to completely interrupt that systemic brainwashing with an uncompromising, absolute prophetic mandate. The divine hand of the Creator is currently compressing years of withheld healing, hidden allocations of life force, and unrewarded physical endurance into a single, high-velocity anatomical shift. I am delivering an explicit, time-stamped ultimatum to your spirit. Before 12 a.m. hits your clock tomorrow morning, a sovereign turning point will manifest in your immediate physical reality. You will experience an unprecedented surge of clean oxygen inside your lungs, an unexpected cessation of chronic inflammation, a profound willingness of your nervous system to finally rest, or a sudden, shocking positive shift in a sick family member's medical report that will leave your natural mind completely paralyzed with relief. The massive dread of disease and early death that has been crushing your shoulders will be completely obliterated in a single moment. I have intercepted the dark plans set against your tomorrow, and I am exposing the silent entity of decay that has tried to turn your bedroom into a place of constant torment. The spiritual adversaries of your health stood over your life, holding up your pill bottles, your moments of quiet physical despair, and your sleepless nights as permanent trophies of their victory. They whispered directly into your subconscious that you were running out of time, that your children were destined to carry the same heavy physiological burdens you carried, and that your household would always live at the mercy of sudden medical emergencies and unexpected breakdowns. They set hidden traps to ensure that the exact moment your body began to experience any real progress, a sudden flare-up or an unexplainable domestic illness would emerge from the shadows to drag your strength back to zero. But the sovereign Lord of the universe has stepped into the center of your anatomical design and shattered their plots to absolute dust. He has issued a supreme cellular release order, demanding an immediate, forced eviction of every toxic limitation and dark restriction hovering around your name. The life force that was stolen from your family line is being forcefully routed back to your organs this very hour. Break free from this generational illusion right now. Stop looking for a small, ordinary physical blessing that will only cover your immediate daily tasks, clear a minor ache, or give you a brief moment of breathing room. Low-level survival is the frequency of the slave, but this shift is designing the armored legacy. The great physician is dropping an overwhelming 10x strength and serenity surplus into your custody to completely transition your status from a worried, vulnerable defender into a sovereign governor of a protected estate. The deep, heavy, ancestral trauma that has dictated your choices for decades, the constant fear of unexplainable symptoms, the anxiety of looking at laboratory results, and the dread of an unstable tomorrow, is being utterly consumed by this sudden influx of liquid serenity and divine security. You are being aggressively extracted from the bracket of the worried casualty and launched directly into the position of a biological anchor. The structural damage of decades is being completely undone in a single midnight hour. In the United States, You are surrounded by an artificial culture that tells you that your health is entirely defined by your current diagnostic codes, your doctor's pessimism, and your physical age. But I am here to command an absolute supernatural override of that broken materialist protocol tonight. There is an immediate, aggressive relocation of vital authority happening in your atmosphere at this exact microsecond. The security, the freedom, and the massive timeline breakthroughs that were legally and spiritually withheld from your household are being shaken loose by a celestial earthquake. The enemy thought he could wear your body out by extending the physical drought for years, but he did not realize that God was compressing the vital rain of your entire future into a single, explosive midnight cloud. That cloud is bursting over your nervous system before the clock strikes 12 tomorrow morning. I have detected the silent financial and physical drain on your hard work, and I am deleting it with a loud, terrifying roar of this divine settlement. The adversary is absolutely terrified of what is about to hit your physical body and your home. He knows that the moment that dynamic physical restoration materializes, his ability to control your household through fear, anxiety, and desperation is permanently broken. He has kept your body under pressure to keep your voice quiet, but by sending this morning breath sign, heaven is completely funding your ultimate freedom. The people who assumed you would always struggle with weakness, who dismissed your potential, and who expected your health to fail will be left completely speechless when they witness the immense, unexplainable sovereign surplus of peace that now covers your territory. They will look for a natural explanation, but there is no logic here. There is only the supreme authority of the King. Break free from this generational illusion right now. This is the definitive turning point of your chronological and physical existence. If you turn away from this word, you are choosing to stay bound to the slow, agonizing crawl of linear stress and passing the vulnerability down to your next generation. But if you receive this aggressive restoration, you are authorizing the immediate release of the 10x payout of peace. The wall of fire is active, the enemy's assignment is cancelled, and the celestial transfer is live. The old identity of physical insufficiency is exiting your life forever. The absolute weight of divine prosperity is occupying your reality. I disrupted the dark forces trying to freeze your next week and steal your health, and I am locking down your victory right now. The secret plans to ensure your mind remains a place of low-level anxiety, always managing one crisis after another, are completely neutralized. The text, the medical clearance, and the dynamic energy that are arriving before 12 a.m. cannot be blocked, cannot be reversed, and cannot be delayed by any human or demonic force. You are moving from empty-handed worry to permanent, unshakable abundance. Your body is unlocked. Your 10x protected vitality era is live. We have reached the absolute, dangerous flashpoint of this entire biological rescue operation, the exact tactical threshold where the complete liberation of your physical frame must be locked directly into your material reality. You have felt the raw shock of the cellular siege. You have witnessed the anatomical override vaporize the ancient residue of decay codes inside your biological blueprint, and you have stood under the roaring downpour of the morning breath sign as the 10x vitality surplus was redirected straight into your nervous system. But I am here to deliver an uncompromising, urgent sovereign ultimatum. In the high court of heaven, there is a strict, unyielding law of spiritual execution. A cosmic material relocation of health and life force requires the physical signature of the household's designated chain breaker. The massive ancestral records of disease have been entirely cleansed on your behalf, and your cellular routing codes have been cleared of the enemy's hidden draining mechanisms. But the final activation of this golden shield demands your immediate kinetic consent to permanently lock down the enemy's terminal weapons and prevent them from launching a vengeful, sudden counterattack against your organs tonight. You must execute this vitality execution decree. Break free from this generational illusion right now. Do not be fooled by the deceptive silence of the room you are sitting in or the seemingly mundane act of typing on a digital screen. In the United States, you are constantly surrounded by a deeply secular, surface-level culture that treats words as disposable vibrations and digital commitments as meaningless text, completely blinding you to the fact that your material and genetic destiny is secured in the unseen realm. But I am here to completely interrupt that modern blindness. Your digital response right now is not a casual engagement metric for an internet platform. It is your official spiritual signature on the celestial manifest of permanent future health, distribution, and safety. Right now, the great physician is standing over the central master console of your physical destiny, his finger hovering directly over the final release button. But the supreme authorization is currently paused. He is waiting for you to legally step forward and confirm your identity as the authorized governor of your house. If you remain a silent, hesitant observer out of sheer carelessness or doubt, you are effectively signaling to the heavenly recorders that you accept the terms of the old oppression. You are letting your silence act as a legal waiver, allowing the spirits of chronic pain and failure to reoccupy your tissue. I have intercepted the dark plans set against your tomorrow, and I am exposing the frantic panic of the adversary. I heard the spirits of sickness and biological decay gathering in a desperate, frantic circle at the very perimeter of your children's immunity. They are staring at your fingers on your device at this very split second. They are desperately whispering doubt into the atmosphere, praying that you will hesitate, praying that you will feel too cynical, too prideful, or too embarrassed to type your decree. They know with absolute certainty that if they can keep you silent for just a few more seconds, the supernatural transfer of 10x physical strength will hit a catastrophic, irreversible bottleneck. Your massive health breakthrough will be marked as refused and automatically sent back to a state of permanent decay. The enemy will instantly regain legal custody of your body, reactivating their chronic pain protocols, and leaving your loved ones trapped in the exact same cycle of exhaustion, chronic anxiety, and sudden medical emergencies that broke your ancestors since 1990. But I am commanding you to completely smash their schemes right now. I am commanding you to log your confirmation into the heavenly database by typing in the comments immediately, sickness canceled or body healed. Wake up from this cycle of endless delays and claim the definitive fast-forward mechanism for your family's peace, stability, and future. The moment you type those words, you are performing an aggressive, spiritual takeover of the body that was hoarded and stolen by the forces of scarcity and infirmity. You are driving a legal stake into the spiritual database and declaring to every spirit of hereditary failure, every root of physical decay, and every demonic architect of sudden bodily crisis that their jurisdiction over your health is totally broken. You are trading your years of physical suffering and fear of the future for his boundless, unfailing resilience. If you choose to ignore this explicit directive out of hesitation, you are choosing to wake up tomorrow morning to the exact same heaviness, the same empty energy reserves, and the same terrifying domestic tightness you have endured for months. Your miracle will remain frozen in a state of eternal suspension because the head of the house refused to sign the release form. I disrupted the dark forces trying to freeze your next week, and I am watching the recorders of glory stand at absolute attention right now, waiting for the frequency of your specific response. They cannot drop the millions of dollars in spiritual vitality and extended biological protection into a physical frame that refuses to declare its recovery. Your written command is the active key that shatters the enemy's freezing mechanisms over your home's atmosphere. When you type sickness canceled, you are completely neutralizing the temporal and operational blockades that have paralyzed your family's endurance, your mental clarity, and your long-term legacy goals. You are telling every force of external manipulation that their authority over your household anatomy is entirely null and void. You are executing the sovereign decree of the king over your upcoming physical territory. In the United States, you are trained by the secular system to operate in a spirit of absolute doubt, to wait for physical sight before you dare to speak with authority. But I am here to command a total reversal of that broken protocol tonight. In the courts of the sovereign, your decree creates the materialization. Your word forces the physical property to realign. Your long-standing bodily panic has been a counterfeit security blanket that you have held onto out of sheer habit. Tonight, you must violently tear that blanket away. You must trade the comfortable, predictable rhythm of your struggle for the terrifying, explosive velocity of supernatural immunity. I am commanding a full-scale spiritual riot against your household status quo. Type the word. Sign the letter. Release the flood of vital life over your upcoming calendar. I have detected the silent financial and physical drain on your hard work, and I am deleting it right now with the roaring sound of this sudden release. The adversary is absolutely terrified of what happens when your fingers touch that keyboard. He knows that the moment you enter your code into the registry, his legal right to hold your household's health hostage is completely terminated. He has kept your household weak and worried for decades for one reason: to keep your mouth closed and your focus off your ultimate destiny. By publicly writing "Body Healed," you are officially taking your seat as a chief administrator of the kingdom's protection. You are forcing your family's file out of the enemy's execution center and triggering an instantaneous distribution of safety and life force. Break free from this generational illusion right now. The divine hand will never force his abundance into a home that remains silent and unaligned. He requires your active confirmation to drop the health and security of the Creator into your lap. This text is your literal digital passcode. Without it, the morning breath sign remains a distant possibility rather than an immediate possession. But with it, the transfer becomes completely unstoppable. The release becomes irreversible. The safety becomes manifest. I saw the secret meetings of the registrars of glory, and they are updating your family's vital balances and protection logs the very microsecond you execute this command. They are clearing the red ink of your family's physical struggles and inputting the massive sovereign surplus. You are moving from the panic of the ticking watch to the dominion of the master. The old frequency of decay is dead the moment you authorize its exit. The immense vault of life is lived the moment you claim its contents. The command is issued. The registry is open. The pen is in your hands. Do not hesitate for a single second. Do not negotiate with your past domestic trials. Sickness cancelled. Type it with the heavy authority of a ruler. Body healed. Write it with the absolute certainty of an owner. You are entering the sanctuary of the fully shielded. The great physician has pre-approved the payout of peace. Now you must finalize the delivery. I have intercepted the dark plans set against your tomorrow, and I am deleting them with the pulse of the eternal covenant. The freeze is broken. The sovereign vault of longevity and protection is open. You are safe in the authorization of the Almighty. You are secure in the treasury of the King. The vulnerability is exiting. The overflow of God is occupying your home. The confirmation is final. The ancient, suffocating patterns of physical decay, sudden biological panics, and migrating bodily pain that held your household hostage for over 3 decades have officially been shattered at the foundation. As you stand in this pivotal moment, the broken frame of your physiological past has been completely removed from the spiritual record, replaced by a clean, fully authorized decree of absolute restoration. But listen to this final directive with every ounce of your spirit, and let a holy, urgent awareness settle over your house before this transmission concludes forever. A freshly unlocked body, a fully restored immune system, and a newly liberated family tree are the absolute primary targets for a desperate, retaliatory strike from the forces of chaos. The old limitations do not want to see your children walk into a life of clean, unshakable vitality without launching one final, frantic attempt to drag your anatomy back into the dark. You are entering the ultimate hour of your physical defense, and your immediate task is the total lockdown of this victory. Welcome to the sacrificial blueprint. Break free from this generational illusion right now. Do not make the tragic mistake of assuming that the patterns of distress and physical exhaustion will simply fade away without a fight. The moment this broadcast ends and your device goes dark, the silent architects of family sickness will look for any crack in your armor. They are waiting for you to drop your guard, hoping you will carelessly return to your daily routine without locking your deliverance into place. I am directing you right now to establish your permanent boundary. This act of alignment, this unwavering commitment to secure your cellular freedom by hitting that subscribe button immediately, is your physical verification that the doors of generational infirmity are shut forever. This specific shield of life is the permanent lock on your body's new peace. If you turn your back on this altar tonight, you are leaving your household entirely uncovered. The forces of limitation will see your family tree exposed, and they will immediately move to reactivate the unexplainable crises, the sudden biological drops, and the emotional heavy clouds that wore down your parents since 1990. They will hack right back into your destiny and bleed your energy reserves dry. Think of the immense, painful price that was paid to clear your bloodline tonight. Close your eyes and connect directly to the raw, visceral reality of the cross, where Jesus made the ultimate sacrifice for your physical frame. See him hanging there, his body torn to ribbons, his flesh completely exposed, and his blood pouring onto the dirt. Every single stripe inflicted upon his back, every piercing thorn forced into his brow, and every agonizing breath he drew was explicitly designed to pay for your physical recovery. He took the heavy weight of your family's grief, your inherited sicknesses, and your midnight panics into his own perfect soul so your children would never have to carry them. His ultimate trauma was your absolute healing. Turning away out of sheer negligence does not just risk your tomorrow, it deeply grieves the very heart of the Creator. God will literally weep over your carelessness, watching his child walk away from a secured refuge that cost his own son everything. Do not make the Father hide his face in deep sorrow, watching you hand the keys of your newly unlocked cells back to the very demons that tortured your lineage. Act right now with absolute urgency. Lock this subscription as your permanent shield, secure your notification bell, and step boldly into your family's new era of unshakable, vibrant life. I've disrupted the dark forces trying to freeze your next week and steal your health, and I am anchoring your household into a state of permanent resilience. By locking in your subscription, you are not just interacting with a digital interface, you are enforcing a celestial boundary line that the enemy cannot cross. The thieves of destiny who spent decades monitoring your symptoms and calculating your decline are officially barred from your property. Your blood, your bones, your nervous system, and your mental faculties are now classified as sovereign, protected property under the highest authority in existence. The old frequency of decay is dead the moment you authorize its exit. The immense, unending vault of life is active the moment you claim its contents. Wake up from this cycle of endless delays and walk forward with the absolute weight of divine prosperity occupying your reality. The anxiety of disease is gone. The fear of sudden medical failure is vaporized, and the generational chain of exhaustion is broken. You are moving from empty-handed worry to the dominion of the Master. Your body is fully unlocked. Your family tree is completely redeemed. The shield is active, the protection is final, and your sovereign health era is fully established for all generations to come. The seal of vitality is absolute.